to
To
do
pay you.
certain stuff.
Okay.
And then this money is on the back end.
Okay.
And all the creditors have to be paid.
Okay.
And then then the administrative fees from chapter 7, and then I'm secondary.
There's a new case that just came out recently, because you did that other case with me, the bond case. Remember? And they had charged all these fees and stuff. There's a new case that says the trustee can't use somebody else to do work that the trustee's supposed to do.
Oh, so
When they go out and hire somebody like this and run
yeah,
these fees up,
yeah, because
you can't
what's
do that.
Oh, this case say that now?
No, the new case said you can't do that.
Sixth Circuit.
Yeah, because the trustee is supposed to do
That's
the
their
work
job.
themselves.
Yeah, and she
so
hired.
you can't hire somebody else to
Yeah,
do what you were
Jeb,
supposed to,
yeah.
and charge all of these high fees like that.
Okay. Got to tighten up.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're still talking the law.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like
Which is what we do. That's what. Hey, what about our new nominee for the Supreme Court?
Who is it?
Brown, Jackson Brown.
I don't know. Jack.
She's on the Sixth Circuit. I'm sorry. She's on the D.C. Circuit. She just got a appeals court for the D.C. Circuit. He just announced her today.
Oh, okay. I'll look at that.
Yeah, look it up. Look it
Because
up
he
right
said
there.
that
He announced it today.
he was adamant that he was gonna
Put the black female on there.
yeah, because this is weird. I mean, he's right. There's never the last nominee that was a black female was.
Tune in to
Lonnie-
Talking Law with Attorney Darrell
Oh,
ONeal.
that's
I'm
right.
the
And
special
Bill
guest
Clinton tried to
host,
put her on.
Attorney Jerome
Well,
Payne.
he never. He
Live
actually didn't
TV
nominate her.
talk
She met so
on
much
your
resistance
digital
before he
device,
even
on
nominated.
Roku,
Because she
Fire
was a
TV,
civil
and
rights
Apple
activist
TV.
Yes.
Download the
Yeah.
SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel
Oh, okay.
17,
Hey, how y'all
8:30
doing?
Yeah,
p.m.
we're excited
And
tonight
we are
because
live
of
every
the,
Friday
we
on
always,
Facebook
yeah, the
Live,
new
6
Supreme
o'clock
Court
in the
justice
evening. You've got a
is
question,
someone
our attorneys
possibly
have the
she
answer.
has to be
So
confirmed,
let's talk
but
law
she
with
looks
Attorney Darrell
like
ONeal
us.
on the
Well,
SVP
and she
TV
acts like
network.
us.
well, the likelihood of her being confirmed is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them we're gonna play you guys commercial and then we're gonna go into the show.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna, all you pre-watchers, we're gonna go ahead and play a commercial here, and then we're gonna go on the show. We're going to the show.
Oh, sounds good
So
there.
you guys are hearing some of the behind-the-scenes preliminary stuff.
Yes, yes.
Tune in to Talking Law with Attorney Darrell ONeal. I'm the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now.
6G, 8G.
Check us out every Tuesday on
geez, we
Comcast
got a
Cable,
phone,
Channel
man.
17, 8:30
Everybody in the
p.m.
world got a hot dollar phone.
And
Like, I
we
can't
are
pay for it.
live
Yeah,
every
like,
Friday
all the
on
time.
Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah,
You've got a
iPhone
question,
yeah,
our
13
attorneys have the
or something.
answer.
Worth
So
about
let's
15,
talk law
16.
with Attorney Darrell ONeal
$100.
on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Darrell ONeal. I'm your host. I got my main man with me, Jerome.
What's up, Darryl?
Man, another day in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, so if you have Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, there's one more.
And I can't ever think of it.
So Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, Android.
Okay.
Or if you go to the App Store and download SVP
Team
TV Network, you can download that app.
Yes.
And you can watch it from that download.
Comcast Tuesday nights.
Comcast Tuesday night at 8:30.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So and
Facebook right now.
Facebook and YouTube right now. 'Cause
Right
they
now.
use both. And I think if you own Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, and all of those, you can actually pull those up live too.
Okay,
You can see those live.
sounds good, Darryl.
And so this is the pre-edited version.
Okay.
Is what they're seeing.
Yes.
So we all need to say welcome to Little Rock.
Okay.
Welcome to West Memphis. Welcome to Shelby County, Memphis. Welcome to Mississippi. And welcome to the great state of Missouri.
Always.
Hey, Mom. Okay, so today, Jerome, man, we got a lot of stuff going on, man.
For sure.
Cardi B got a $4 million judgment because somebody was talking trash about her. Think about it. you can sue somebody for talking trash about you.
Well, the thing about it, Darrell, is that you have to be careful how you couch it. So you just can't defame a person or libel a person because if what you're saying is not true, it's always suspect.
Yeah, and so we want to talk about defamation then. Let's talk about defamation.
Sounds good. And you know, and we got the great defamer always, Trump is always saying something about somebody that eventually he's going to get caught up. Because you have to be careful. You just can't say stuff without it having some foundation to it. Yeah. And the other thing there too is if you say it and you know it's false, that certainly creates a problem. Is that right?
It is. So here's how this thing works. Every case, and we talk about this all the time, Jerome, every case means nothing unless you can establish damages.
That's exactly right.
So defamation is, and this is just the legal, I'm going to give you the legal.
Okay.
Defamation is writing or saying something about someone that's not true, which causes that person some type of harm. Now that harm can be financial or it can be non-financial.
That's right. Exactly.
And we call it economical or non-economical.
That's right.
So, and here, that's how simple it is. So defamation is saying something about someone that's not true, that causes them Twitter and Snapchat and all that. Because if you put it in writing
and emails,
yes. If you put it in writing, you can't come back from that.
That's right.
So if you put something in writing and it's a lie, and that lie causes the person that you put that in writing about harm,
go ahead.
Economical or non-economical, you could have a problem.
And I want us to also say the magic word is publish.
Publish.
It has to be published, which means that you could have it on your computer all day long. You can talk about that joker all day long on your home
and you
computer.
can say it in your office all day long.
Right.
And you can say it in the neighborhood all day. Because publish it has to go to an outside source.
Exactly. When you push send,
when you hit send,
that's where the problem comes from.
And here's what I don't understand, Jerome. How do you have all these educated individuals in the world that put sin? And that's the reason why if you get caught with libel or slander or defamation because of something that you wrote, you deserve it. Because when you
deserve it.
You deserve it. Here's the reason why you deserve it. You may not be stupid,
right,
but you pretty damn close.
Right.
Because if you put it in writing, Jerome, and that's why I challenge all my clients to write it, to videotape, to capture what it is somebody says.
Right.
And then to save that capture.
Right.
Because once you capture it, you can't uncapture it. We were talking last week. We heard some stuff last week that we couldn't unhear.
Right.
Well, once it's captured, you can't uncapture.
So you're pretty much stuck with what you said.
Stuck what you said.
And we always talk about that too, because that's really how the law is based on. We're not able to judge a person's intent without there being something outwardly. Right. And so that's why there's an element in the law that says it has to be intentional. And so sometimes, even in a criminal law case, you can't even prevail if you can't prove that the person intended to cause the harm that was caused.
And that's the reason why if you're a public figure,
yes,
that rule is a lot higher.
Absolutely.
Because if you're a public figure, it's not the intent to harm. It's to put information out there.
That's
it's
right.
To publish information.
That's right.
So when we look at that, and that's why I get over the top when I say you hit sin, because when you hit sin, I can't get it back.
That's right.
If you hit sin on something and you knew, come on, man, dog. If you talking trash about somebody, you know what you saying is some nonsense.
Well, also too, there. Now I'm always the protagonist. I'm always trying.
Go the other way.
I'm always trying to lift the brothers up or the sisters up. But so there, if I've done some research and I've tried to verify. And you know what? And that's why you always hear news reporters say, it's not verified at this point. The source, we don't have the real source, and they go to several places. But if you try to verify it and the information still came up to be what you thought it was, that might give you a safe harbor too, there.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, so again, defamation. Again, like you hit on the head, you have to have this intent to harm.
That's right.
So if I've done my due diligence,
Right.
and that's the key. If I've done my due diligence, and in my due diligence, it establishes what I say. For instance, I say the sun is blue.
Right.
You say, man, that sun, yes, it is. And then you have a picture of it being blue.
Exactly.
Now, ain't nobody else seen no blue
Right.
sun, but you got a picture of
Right.
it. You know, and so you now can establish that at least what you thought you were saying was in fact true.
Or the almanac, the Poor Richard's Almanac said that on this particular day, the sun is going to be blue.
Right.
So, you know, it turns out it's not, but at least you tried to verify the information before you hit send.
Yeah. And see, that goes to our first question.
Okay.
Here, our first question says, if a person is suing me for defamation of character, and I was telling the truth on them on Facebook, can they win the lawsuit without proving I was not telling the truth, or will I need to prove I was telling the truth? It's a whole lot of disjunctive, conjunctives, adjunctives.
And that's where the problem is too, because the person who asked the question is inserting doubt themselves by saying if.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So the way that you defeat that is by being certain in what you're saying. That when that person or he or she said it was the truth, you leave it there.
Yeah. And you and I always joke about this, and all lawyers say that the worst cuss word in the United States is if.
Yes.
Because, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda, if. You know, if, because that's a speculative word.
That's exactly right.
It says it has doubt, I have uncertainty.
And that's what should have caused you to pause the fact that all I can say is if.
Yeah.
So certainty is lacking.
Right.
So that was one that probably should not have been sent.
Well, and here's the rule. A absolute defense to slander, defamation, libel is the truth.
It's truth.
Or the perceived truth.
That's it.
So if I call you an ugly so-and-so.
Yes.
And damn it, you ugly.
Right.
That's the truth.
Well,
you may not like it.
That's not a good one.
It's not a good one. That's not probably a good one.
Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You may get a jury of my peers to say that's a handsome dude. You shouldn't have said that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's my truth though.
But that won't work. Well, because it is your personal truth, but you didn't do the research. So in other words, if you
that's a tough one. Then I take that one.
Yeah, because I'm working on that one.
You got me on that. That is a tough one.
Maybe you could line up maybe 6 people to say, and have a photo spread.
Yeah.
And then if you get them to say that person is an ugly person, then at least you got something to back you up.
Yeah.
But whenever you start to hinge, we say it all the time. Even if somebody comes to me for a case and they're saying, I'm being harassed on the job, what does that mean? I believe that he gave her a position that I should have gotten.
Right.
You're out the door.
You're out the door. Yeah.
So one thing we want the audience to know, that if you are going to say something about a person and you believe it's true, then you have to stand firm on that, because that was your intent to put the truth out there.
Well, and but the question takes one step further.
Okay.
Do I have to prove that it's the truth? And I think that takes a different turn.
Okay.
I think the short answer to that is probably yes.
To me, that's still showing uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because everybody would know that's the truth. That gives me a chance to say another thing too. when the court can take judicial notice of something, it's that the traffic light, if there's a traffic light at the corner of Getwell and Rains, there's not a real traffic light. It's just a red blinking light. Well, you can take judicial notice of that, and that's kind of what you're saying right there. That
but here's the
truth.
thing. I'm glad, because now we need to talk about what they call caveats.
Yes.
And precursors and pre-words.
Got you.
You hear a lot of times people say allegedly, or based on the research that I've had, it's believed, or to the best of my knowledge, this is, because these are all caveats.
We do that all the time too, there in the law.
And those
It
the reason why
appears
that this mug is ugly.
Right.
It appears, because when you do that, you're caveat.
That's right.
And that's your truth, or allegedly.
Right.
Is alleged that so-and-so is a criminal.
Right.
If he was arrested, then that allegation, that alleged, is why, how we get there.
Well, there we just saw something very similar to that too, during the confirmation hearing for Andre Matthews, as he was trying to be elevated to the Sixth Circuit. Marsha Blackburn said he had a rap sheet.
She did, and that was just
that's not a rap sheet.
Yeah, but it's not slanderous for a couple of reasons.
Right.
Number one, at that time, it's a public figure inside this process. And number two, she said that he had some tickets.
Right, traffic tickets.
Some traffic tickets.
Right.
So
10 years ago, Darrell.
Or 10 years or so ago.
Yeah.
Again, that is the caveats.
Because he's a public figure.
Because he's a public figure. And I think even me, or you and I, Jerome, I think if somebody says, well, Darrell has a rap sheet, question is, what's the definition of a rap sheet? And if I got 5 speeding tickets that I either paid or didn't pay, or I got outstanding fines, outstanding whatever, then I guess I do have a rap sheet.
But there,
I don't agree with it.
But there, we clearly know that she was intending to harm him by calling it a rap sheet.
Oh no doubt.
And she was called out for that, doing that. In fact, it almost brought my man to tears. Did you hear that?
I didn't see it. I heard the confirmation.
Yeah, he's almost in tears because his family was there too. He had his kids and his wife there, and so that's the kind of harm that we're talking about when you intentionally do something to harm somebody.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like this person is intentionally trying to harm someone.
Right.
But I don't like the fact that it's too much hedging.
Yeah.
If that.
I think, Jerome, and let's play with something that people probably, the social media gathers. It's the Cardi B situation.
Okay.
I don't think that this person, I don't even remember the name of the lady.
I can't think of her name either.
I don't think that she would have had as many issues had she hedged, allegedly.
That's right.
Based off the evidence that I have reviewed.
That's right.
Or based off the information that has been provided to me. She's done some caveats.
That's right.
But what she did is she said with certainty, this lady did this.
That's right.
And that's not true.
Right.
And it was proven it wasn't true.
That's right.
Because what happens is, in order for, and I'm going to back into what the caller, the writer here says.
Okay.
You don't have to prove that it's true. The plaintiff has to prove that it's not true. Because the onus is on the plaintiff to prove every element of their case.
Always.
So the plaintiff has to prove, because in order to get to establish that first element, have to establish that it's not right.
Darrell, I love the way that you did that, because I'm always using the analogy of the game we played as kids called tug of war. There's always a center line. That's where the suits begins. And so the plaintiff is on one side, the defendant's on the other side. So when the plaintiff presents his or her case, it's going to pull the defendant all the way over here. And so the defendant comes back then and starts putting on their truth, and it pulls them back this way. Now, this is what I use. I use Publisher Clearinghouse. I use the Wall Street Journal. I use her neighbors. You know, I know somebody in the neighborhood, and they said that it was true. Then at least it pulls you back to equity, and then that's when it becomes an issue for the trial fact.
Yeah, I mean, but and the issue on that particular one is, I've done my due diligence.
That's right, exactly.
Or I've done my caveats.
That's right.
So now what I've done is try to bring this back to center. But then on top of that, what you got to do, and this is where 99% of defamation cases fail. I'm talking about libel or slander.
That's right.
It's damage.
The damages part.
Most people cannot establish how they were harmed.
And so, and that's why you need someone with legal information, because it's a way to establish damages, but the layperson wouldn't know how to do it because it would be speculative. I would have had this. I would have been able to get that. But if you were with a lawyer, the lawyer would be able to show you how to demonstrate the damages. The damages could be $100, but it must be present. And you do that, and I guess Cardi B must have been able to show $4 million worth of damage as well.
I'm going to get you there, because
Okay,
here's what,
okay.
I'm glad you said that.
Okay. Suffered, if you don't come across as a believable, sympathetic person, you're still not going to be able to prevail, even though the law may be in your favor.
And, you know, and I guess here's the thing, when the jury listened to this, you know, because this is a young girl.
Yes.
I mean, Cardi B is a young girl.
20, 25, 26.
Yeah, I mean, she's not 30 years old, let's put it that way.
Right.
And she's in the rap industry, which is supposedly this hardcore industry.
Right.
But to hear her be broken as a result of this lady's conduct, because that's what the jury heard. They heard that this, you know, mogul and this harsh world that she's in was broken by the conduct of this lady.
You know that
She showed so much vulnerability that the jury empathized with her.
Right.
They didn't sympathize, they empathized with her. Because they were like, man, if that was me.
Yes. Oh man, you shown up would have been.
Yeah.
You would have probably done it. Would you?
Oh my goodness. Man,
that's right.
if you can get the jury to say, man, if that was me, how would I handle this? Because see, that's the whole point. You know, trying a case, man, and is all about, you know, making the jury feel like it's me.
That's exactly right.
You know, and man, that's rough, man. But this you, I got you. This is you.
And, you know, that brings to mind too about the movie A Time to Kill, and the lawyer was able to get the all-white jury to close their eyes and not see the defendant as being black.
Mother was crying.
But but to see them as you,
Right.
and your daughter hasn't been treated like this little girl was treated. And so that's what we're hoping to do, is to get the jury to be the defendant, or the plaintiff rather. And so they can empathize with it. And that was successfully done.
Yeah, and you know, that's always, and there's this, you know, this fine line.
Yes.
You know, to get them there.
Yeah.
But you know, and really that ain't. You know what that is, Jerome? That's preparation.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all it is preparation.
Absolutely.
How do I draw you in?
Yes.
You know, how do I make you feel what you need to feel? And some lawyers are what they call great storytellers.
That's exactly right.
And some of them suck at it, you know.
But also too, that's where you get the jury. You get a whole professional group of jury people.
Right.
So you know who's on your jury. You know that this person has a background such as this, of a bartender, or this person does this, or so. So what you do is you draw them in by telling that story, and they're there. They're captured.
Well, and you know, so that takes us to the next question. That says if I'm being sued and I own nothing, what happens to the case? Well, here we go. Because in the Cardi B scenario, my understanding is it was a $4 million judgment that was awarded, and it's my understanding that the defendant said, "I'm not paying because I don't have it."
But that person probably should have had some malpractice insurance or something.
But I don't know the answer to that, because here's the thing: if you don't have it, 0 times 50 million is still 0. So if you don't have it,
true.
And then it depends on how you're being sued. Whether you're being sued in the individual capacity, as a corporation, or how you're being sued.
Well, okay. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Now, you don't have nothing, but yes, you do. You drive a car.
Yeah.
You got a house.
Maybe.
It may not be your house,
Right.
but you got furniture in there. You may have.
You're talking to Joe a little bit, ain't you?
They can do it. They can pull.
You got clothes?
Yeah, they can pull up in the tow truck and take that vehicle. They can go into the cash register. Say you have a little small business. They can walk in there and take the cash register drawer. Or every time you receive a paycheck from whatever it is that you do, that paycheck could have to go to the plaintiff by garnishing your pay.
Yeah.
So you may not have anything, and also too, there, once a judgment is entered, they can try to collect for 10 years. If they don't get it all in the 10 years, they can renew that judgment and get an additional 10 years. So you could actually be stuck with this case for the rest of your natural life trying to pay it. But move down to the other one. That's what I like to part down.
You said this is what you...
That's where I come in at.
Again, so what Jerome said, and I like that, is you really truly never have nothing.
That's right.
Because there's an argument that a creditor can take the clothes off your back.
Absolutely. Well, no, that's exempt.
Is it?
Yeah. Exemption on clothes, the Bible, certain things.
See there? Look, it's the, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the Bible and certain things in the home that you have to have in your home are exempt. So you can't. So what you have to do is, as soon as the suit is filed, you have to immediately put on the back of the lawsuit all those items that you're exempting. The Bible, some things in the kitchen and stuff like that. So no, you can't take the clothes off your back.
Okay.
So,
But you can take all the others.
that's what, he just used his name.
Was that part of the bankruptcy?
No, that was all his personal stuff at one point were bankrupt. But he was able to use exemptions to hold on to his things before he died.
So that was in his death. That was close to his death.
That was close to it. That probably caused his death because he was doing so well, and all of a sudden this thing came. I don't remember why he wound up with a judgment against him, but he did, and he was able to exempt some things out.
Oh my God! I didn't know that.
Before he passed on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well then the next question. Can I file Chapter 13 if I'm being sued?
I would not file a Chapter 13 for that suit. I would file a Chapter 7 and get rid of it. It's an unsecured debt.
What if I got a judgment? If I got a judgment, would that judgment?
It's still an unsecured debt.
Is there a way that a judgment could be turned into a secured debt?
Well, they have to put a lien on something. And so you have to do it before the lien comes. And so there's something in the law called after acquired property. Remember?
Okay, yeah.
And so a lot of times, and that's what a lot of these judgment creditors are doing now. They are immediately registering a lien in the Shelby County Registrar's Office.
On what?
For after acquired property.
So anything that you acquire.
So anything later on, should you buy a house later on, it immediately attaches to it. That's what the after acquired property is. So that's why you need to do a Chapter 7. And the only thing that will prevent you from doing a Chapter 7 is you make too much money, which is $50,000 for an individual now, or a little bit more than $50,000. Or you've done a Chapter 7 before within the last 8 years, because you can only get a discharge in the last 8 years. Or a young lady if the judgment came from a lawsuit where alcohol was involved. Say you injured somebody and you were drunk, you can't discharge that in a Chapter 7, but you could put it in a Chapter 13. So you always want to go to the Chapter 7 first to make sure, because the debt is an unsecured debt because there's no lien attached to it, and you want it to be completely gone with a discharge.
Now, but when they file a lien,
Right.
so say for instance, if somebody gets sued and a judgment is against them, then the plaintiff or whoever won the lawsuit would actually have to go file a lien.
In order to give it more basis than because it's just an unsecured debt. All right. But when you lean it up with something, it then becomes secured, possibly.
But I mean, and you say lien on after acquired property,
Right.
Because that property, the judgment was not a product of the property.
That's right.
Because normally you're allowed to put a lien on something that was a product of the judgment.
Someone was what you call it? I can't think of the legal term for it, right? But it was live, was active then. That's normally what a lien, but that's the purpose of having the after acquired property lien, because it immediately attaches with your commercial. But you can get it. You can file a motion to avoid the lien
In the bankruptcy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the whole idea. But the exemption amount, you can't impair a person's exemption. So now, Tennessee just raised their exemption up in homestead. It used to be $5,000 for an individual. So many times we couldn't file a Chapter 7 for a person if they had property.
Because they clearly had some equity in
They
it.
had more than $5,000 worth.
Yeah.
But now it's $35,000 for an individual.
$35,000?
$35,000
Man, that is for real.
It's phenomenal. And it's $25,000 if you have minor children at home. And if your husband files with you too, it's $50,000 that you can exempt in your property.
Okay.
So someone got to the legislatures and they increased it enough to make that be a safe haven. So, and as I always said, there's always a way when there is a will. And the will is to get on the phone, call your lawyer immediately after you get sued.
After there's a judgment against you, and then try to figure out what your next move is going to be.
Not try to figure out.
Make it happen.
The lawyer is going to figure it out for you.
Man, you be educating me like a bug. But if it's joint property,
Well,
and you only had a lien against one party,
Well, in Tennessee, when you buy property, buy a homestead, it's considered to be tenants by the entirety. All right? So it's difficult to attach tenants by the entirety because we don't know who's going to be the longest living party.
Okay.
So it's not real, it's tenuous.
Speculative.
Yeah, speculative.
Yeah.
So you can't lean that up.
Interesting.
So,
Man. All right, so we talked about defamation. We talked about a lot of stuff. And we talked about, potentially what you can do, in fact, if you don't have money and you get sued and you lost.
that's right.
So, hopefully you learned a lot today. I mean, shucks, I learned at least 2 things today. So,
In other words, we got you.
we got you. So thank you for watching. You got questions, concerns, send it to us, man. You can send it to on a piece of paper or text it, email it, whatever you need to do, and we'll answer those questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching the show.